Hello, I'm Alan, and welcome to today's edition of Alan's Cycling Adventures. It is another windy one on tap for us today. The wind is already howling. The good news is the wind is out of the west, so it should be kind of a quartering tailwind for us. We're headed to Dalhart, Texas today, which is to the northeast. So looks like we're going to have a quartering tailwind from the left. It's third state line crossing and the second time zone crossing, so we lose an hour today. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or ideas for future editions of Alan's Cycling Adventures, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Well, without further ado, let's ride. Today I used the same starting strategy as yesterday. I let everybody get out in front of me. I felt that worked pretty well for me. I also went pretty fast for me, but not pretty fast for the people ahead of me. And so, although I have been describing myself as the slowest of the fast group, that is no longer the case because I have been asked to join the early group starting tomorrow. And so I will no longer be referring to them as the slow group. I will simply call them the early group. We will see tomorrow. I have to put my money where my mouth is to see if I actually am the fastest of that group. My plan for tomorrow is to head out right away and just ride my pace like I have been doing. And it will be interesting to see if I am the fastest of that group. I may not be, because on today's ride, I actually caught up with one of the people that I believe is in the early group. And although I passed him, when it got to a flat area, he actually caught up to me. And I had been quite a bit ahead of him. So looks like he flies on the flats. And we've got a whole lot of flats coming up over the next few days. And I don't mean flat tires, hopefully, knock on wood. Anyway, so we'll see how that works. The big deal for today is it was state line crossing number 3. We crossed from New Mexico into Texas. I did a little something different in terms of how I recorded today's ride to mark the occasion, which you'll see in a few minutes. I departed at 7:36 a.m. and it was from Tucumcari, New Mexico to Dalhart, Texas. The weather at the start was clear and 62 degrees with a feels-like temperature of 59 degrees. The humidity was 31% and the wind at the start was 14.7 miles per hour from the west-southwest. It actually was very gusty though. That wasn't recorded by Strava. But it was very gusty, and it got stronger as the day progressed. So we ended up with a strong quartering tailwind, which I think played a big role in what my average moving speed was. Today's ride was not a short one. It was 94.49 miles. I did have an average moving speed of 17.5 miles per hour, which is very quick for me. I had a maximum speed of 29.6 miles per hour. I had a total moving time of 5 hours, 23 minutes, and 4 seconds, and an elapsed time of 6 hours, 37 minutes, and 2 seconds. My average heart rate today was 112 beats per minute, and my maximum heart rate was 135 beats per minute. According to Garmin, I burned 1,508 calories. I would take that with a grain of salt. My average cadence was 63 RPM, and my max cadence was 192 RPM, and again, I would take that with a grain of salt. We had a total elevation gain on today's ride, according to Strava's map data, of 1,943 feet, and according to Garmin's barometric data, 1,926 feet. So not a ton of climbing today. I did have a total of 18,318 pedal strokes, and according to Strava, my average power output was 121 watts. There was one Garmin climb on today's ride. It started 23.0 miles into the ride. It was 0.36 miles in length. We had an elevation gain of 141 feet and an average gradient of 7%. So I am quite happy that that was a short climb because it was a steep one. In terms of the route today, we stayed on Highway 54 the entire way. We started in Tucumcari. We went through Logan, Naravisa, then we crossed the Texas state line and eventually hit Dalhart, Texas. Not a lot of towns along the way. Anyway, I am coming up on that state line crossing, so I'm going to pause for a moment. So, right now I am about a half a mile from the New Mexico-Texas border. This is going to be our third state line crossing on this trip. We started out in California, rode across California into Arizona, across Arizona into New Mexico, through New Mexico, and I am just about out of New Mexico and into Texas. I think it'll be fun to start doing these state line crossings in real time as opposed to the time-lapse video. It'll give me a chance to narrate the crossing as I'm doing now, as well as you'll get to see it and experience it the way that I'm seeing it and experiencing it. I think I may have actually crossed the line. I think that bridge may have been the line, because there is the first Welcome to Texas sign. Drive friendly the Texas way, and there's the Texas state flag. Entering the Central Time Zone. This is now the third time zone I've been in. I guess you could say the fourth, because we started out in Pacific Daylight Time. Then we went into Arizona, which is on Mountain Time, but they do not observe Daylight Saving Time. And so we were in Mountain Standard Time, which is the same as Pacific Daylight Time. Then we went into New Mexico and Mountain Daylight Time, and now we are in Central Daylight Time. And up ahead on the right is our lunch stop and the more famous Texas sign. And so I am pulling in for lunch, and I will see you on the road shortly. On today's ride, I did manage to get one flat. This time, though, it was not a wire. I believe it may have been one of those goat head thorns that I've heard so much about. The reason I say I believe it was a goat head is because at one of the rest stops, I found a goat head in my tire and pulled it out, of course. And when I got the flat, there was a little tiny piece of thorn stuck in the tire, which I pulled out with a pair of tweezers. Fortunately, it was the front tire, so it was much easier to take care of, but still, it's, never fun. It was actually kind of funny because I was on the side of the highway, got the flat, pulled over, changed the tube, pumped the tire back up, put the tire on the bike, and was putting away my tools as the mechanical support vehicle pulled up. And Peyton jumped out and asked if I needed help. And I told him that he was about 5 to 10 minutes too late for that. But he did get me another tube, so I was still riding with 2 spares as opposed to 1. It is something I've always done, and it is something that the tour organizers recommend, is having 2 spares. So it is nice to always have 2 on hand. As has become usual for me, when I pulled into Dalhart, I found a convenience store, pulled in, bought a sandwich, bought a chocolate milk, brought the chocolate milk to the hotel, ate the sandwich in the parking lot of the convenience store, and then headed to the hotel, had my chocolate milk, and by the time I was done with that, the rooms were ready. So, from my perspective, the timing was perfect. However, since I was considerably slower than the fastest of the riders, my average moving speed was 17.5. I think some people in our group were over 25 miles an hour for the whole 94 miles. So we've got some seriously strong riders here. Anyway, starting tomorrow, as I mentioned at the beginning, I will be in the early group, so I'll be departing a half an hour earlier than usual. Ironically, tomorrow is a late start. We're starting an hour late, so even though I'm starting a half an hour earlier than the late group, I'm starting a half an hour later than I'm actually used to starting. So that'll be nice. Tomorrow, the early group departs at 8 instead of 7, and the later group departs at 8:30 instead of 7:30. We've got another state line crossing coming up tomorrow. We will be crossing into Oklahoma. We're riding from Dalhart, Texas to Guymon, Oklahoma. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not entirely sure. In any event, should be a good ride. I look forward to it. My legs feel pretty good, even though I rode pretty fast today. Like I said, the wind was a big help in that regard. I hope you enjoyed the change in video strategy for state line crossings. If you did, feel free to mention it in the comments. I plan to do the same approach tomorrow and the next day. Tomorrow we cross into Oklahoma, and the next day we cross into Kansas. And then we don't have any more state line crossings for a while because we will be in Kansas for quite a while. In any event, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm about to pull up to the convenience store and then to the hotel. So see you tomorrow. All right, I am at the La Quinta Inn in Dalhart, Texas. Tomorrow is another state line crossing, and the next day is another one. So we've got a busy couple of days ahead of us. So until next time, stay safe out there.